You put this next image in just to piss me off, okay? I opened up the email today and I looked through and I thought he wouldn't. And then I was like, no, of course he would. He did. Hey guys, and welcome to Prime Focus, the podcast where I do a deep dive into other photographers' brains. Today's guest is Tanjil Nawaz, and here he is. How are you doing, sir?
Hey man, I'm good. How are you this fine evening?
Yeah, evening indeed. It's 11:15 at night when we're recording this because my guy is busy.
Very
He's a
busy.
family man. He's a hard worker. He's grinding on content creation. Surprised I managed to lock you down for this.
Yeah, you're actually very lucky because it's on a Friday evening, especially for the kids to have gone down by now and things to be quiet is quite rare because they're usually still jumping about. My eldest has autism, so it makes it
Yeah,
a lot more. It's not your usual kind of routine. It's harder to get him locked down, but it's all good. They're all asleep. I managed to get them all knocked out. I made sure that the little one didn't have a nap in the afternoon, so I pushed him
nice.
through the day without one to make
That,
sure we can get this done today.
you've done a fantastic job, man. I mean, tell the people a little bit about yourself, like what you shoot, what your like content is about. Just everything around that.
Yeah. So I'm primarily I've got a 9 to 5. I've got a day job. My day job, I work in clinical trials here in the UK. I work for clinical trial management, but that's the boring stuff that I won't bore you with. My content is based around generally, I'm a photographer, videographer. I do freelance commercial work as well.
Mhm.
But my primary interest and focus is tech. I love my tech content, so I create content around commercial tech, but also tech that's content creation tech. So things like
Yeah.
cameras and lighting and gear and all of that kind of stuff. So I love all of that.
Mhm.
But in terms of photography, I really do enjoy street photography. Architectural photography I love. So I love cool
Mhm.
buildings, taking photos of buildings, especially buildings, bridges, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I've dabbled in a bit of portrait and real estate photography as well. I do a lot of real estate photography as part of my freelance work. So kind of naturally like buildings because of that as well.
Mhm.
And in terms of video, I've got my own YouTube channel. I do spec ads and kind of promotional content for brands. I work exclusively with this sunglasses brand called Marco Matteo. They work with me. I'm basically their primary photographer, videographer. So we do a shoot or two every year whenever their new line of glasses come out. We go
Mhm.
out, get some models together, do some kind of, do some videos, do some photography, some kind of content for their social media and website. And so that's me in a nutshell. But yeah, I love cameras. Let's put it that way. I love cameras. Anything to do with cameras, anything to do with photography and videography, that's my content.
Yeah, I mean, I two takeaways from that, just to explain to everyone at home. You definitely love cameras because we met at the photography and videography convention on a photo walk. And second of all, uh, being watching your Instagram and me wanting to buy things are two things that cannot ever exist together, because not only do you make good videos about tech, like they're so well put together, so well color graded, but like they are literally like a perfect ad, because it's not someone just being like, I don't know anything about this, but I'm going to talk about it. You very rarely ever have like screen time like this. It's always like good shots of the product, shots of you using the product, POV of you using the product. Like, it's the better angles that make me be like, I could own that product and I could do that as well. And
Well,
because it's all like tech and related to content creation, like I'm like an absolute sucker in your market niche. Like every now and then I'll go
that's
onto
perfect.
Instagram. Yeah, you've posted something and I'm like, oh no, oh no, it's
Oh, I
payday.
want that.
Oh no,
Well,
I
that's
don't
good
need
to
it.
know that it's working.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's great. Yeah, it's good having feedback like that because rarely you get to hear the actual feedback coming from followers about how how my content is affecting them or if it's affecting them at all. I mean,
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
I
yeah.
just feel like I'm that guy who posts a lot of stuff about lots of gear and then nobody's really that interested, but it's good to know there are people who are, and it is actually making you want to go out and buy that product, because it means that my content creation skills are worth it. So I guess.
Yeah, like when I a couple of things that obviously we've had conversations about
Yeah.
dealing with brands and companies and like working with them and stuff in the past. And when Nearstream sent me this mic, which was perfectly timed, they contacted me at the point where I was like, I should upgrade my mic. I've had it for a while now. And literally, as I'm like looking on Amazon, like a day later, I get a message from Nearstream being like, hey, if we send you one, all we
Yeah.
want is like one short from you. And I literally, and I kid you not, I get the mic and I'm like, right, I want to shoot a video. And I was like, I want to make it good. Genuinely, no BS, went on your Instagram. You've like had a couple of little looks at like the angles you get for stuff. And I was like, I know I want to be like, I know I like doing like a face to face with the camera. So I was like, I know I want to do talking head stuff, but I need cutaways of the product and stuff. I need a kind of like shot of me using it. So I was just like looking at different angles and I was like, I like that kind of thing. So like I was just going through and like using it as like I was like, I'm just gonna steal that idea. Like so,
No, perfect. I think that's really how you learn, and that's how I learn as well
mm,
from other creators that like inspire me. I've looked at through their videos. I was like, how did they get that angle? How is that? How did they get that shot? If I was to promote this product, how would I do it? And it's how I also obviously learn. Like if you look back at some of my really early videos, they're not as great, obviously. But
yeah.
the more you do it, the more you learn. And I think I've kind of finalized my kind of style now.
Mhm.
I've kind of got it where I want it. My content is looking how I want after experimenting quite a lot. I've done the whole, frantic overlays and
Yeah, yeah,
transitions
yeah.
and stuff. I've done the whole talking heads purely. All the different types that you can try and explore with in terms of content. I've tried as many different ways of creating product promotion videos as I can, and
Yeah.
I've kind of landed now on this mixture of talking head versus kind of storytelling about a
Mhm.
product, because I
Yeah.
feel like storytelling really works, especially on Instagram. The
Mhm.
storytelling aspect of it really works. If I'm showing a product, I want my audience to know how I'm using it and how they can possibly use it in a
Yeah.
similar way, right? So I want
100%.
them to see me using the product properly, what I genuinely think about it, what makes that product tick for me, what benefit I'm getting out of it as well. Like, why
Mhm.
am I using a product like that? It's all great that I'm using it and it's a good product and it does what I want it to do, but what personally does it do for me that maybe another different competing product might not do, or
Yeah.
why this over that kind of thing.
Mhm. I
So yeah,
like that's and just this is like what I'm about to say next is proof that I see your stuff all the time. Also, I get to see it because people that I actually know on Instagram are listed under my like favorites on
yeah,
Instagram, so I don't go through the random stuff of
yeah,
people that
I
I
do the
haven't
same.
followed for
Yeah,
ages. Yeah. And I like, this is proof that I watched stuff really recently because I loved the bag video that you like uploaded recently. It literally was that storytelling where
yeah,
it was just like you going through, putting in the compartment, explaining your morning routine and how the bag like assists with that. And it was just like I've never thought of doing that, and I watched it and I was just like, I need to try that. Like well, obviously with like mics and stuff like that, it's not as simple as that. But there are
yeah,
some
yeah,
products, like especially like I'm photography through and through. I have like 5 different camera bags, right?
yeah.
So there's
That's
always
it.
gonna be a time I change that. There's always gonna be a time I like pick up an accessory that helps with camera stuff, like and just being able to go through like the idea of doing a lifestyle kind of thing that's actually promoting the product that you really like is just yeah, I hadn't thought about doing it. So
Yeah, and
thanks.
that's kind of one of the things that I would kind of class myself as a tech lifestyle
Mm,
creator. If anything, like I'm not a pure photographer, I'm not a pure videographer, but I love creating content around tech, and that is my lifestyle. Like if you look at my room, which I can't show you right now because it would really ruin this angle, but it's just camera gear and tech everywhere. Like I've got a
yeah.
shelf up here which is just lenses, and then I've got my gear shift, which you might actually be able to see over
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
which
yeah.
basically just tons of like I've got like random bits of gear here that I'm putting together. This is a charging box really that's got all of my chargers in here, and I've got like other stuff stacked in the shelves. I've got wires going everywhere. It's basically my lifestyle is tech. My desk setup is everything to me.
Yeah,
I just
it's a nice
love
setup
tech
as well.
so much.
The desk,
Huh?
the desk is a beautiful setup as well.
Yeah,
Like,
I've been trying to work on it for so long, and it's finally where I want it. I just need some extra stuff on the wall to get a bit more depth in the background, and I'm happy.
mhm.
Like right now, it's just a bit of a blank blue wall, but I do want maybe either some picture frames, or maybe you've got like the wood paneling and things like that. So I've been thinking about kind of possibly upgrading that aspect of it. But the desk setup itself now is pretty much where I want it to be. And I finally got this new dock, which you guys will be seeing in maybe a video coming up soon. I finally
Nice.
got this new dock from Ivanki, which is it's amazing. Like it it's a dual USB plug-in to my laptop, but it
Mhm.
means that that's all that goes in, and I
Yeah,
don't have to link different things like my SSDs. Everything can link up to this dock, and everything works
that's
amazingly.
pretty
You can
good.
get up to 3 screens, which is the maximum you can get out of like an M4 Max MacBook Pro,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it is like the perfect thing that was lacking from my desk until about like a week ago when it arrived, and I was so excited
Nice.
I had to put it together straight away. But the video for that is coming up very soon, so you guys, anybody who follows or anybody who wants to go and check that out can definitely check that out in a bit.
Yeah, 100%. I will, as I will with every episode of this podcast, put every link of yours in the description, and later on, I'll get you to tell everyone a bit more about where they can find you as well. So
This
we'll
is following
definitely
you
be
around.
pointing them in that direction for sure. I'm just going to say, yeah, I can see.
Yeah,
I was like, either your
it's that
camera
Insta
is a
360 one
lie.
that just kind of like goes. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. When I use my Ace Pro 2 for this, sometimes it does it. Obviously, it does the same thing, and
yeah.
I'm just like, I always forget I've turned it on, and I'll like move, and it will change zoom, and I'll be streaming. I'll be like, oh yeah, God, okay, that was jarring.
Yeah, in
So,
a work meeting, sometimes once or twice, it's like zoomed into my face, and they're just like, well, "What just happened to your camera? How did it do that?" I was like, "Oh, right, sorry, fancy tech, yeah."
yeah, if I want to zoom on this one, I have to physically come up here and grab this and actually change things. And
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
so, I mean, on talking camera tech, what was that first camera you got, and what got you into photography?
All right, it's a bit of a long-winded story, so bear with me. But I think it'll be interesting for a lot of people, because I think a lot of people start in the same way. I've always loved photography. I've got
Mhm.
videos like from when I was a kid, holding like handy cams and those old cassette video recorders and
Yeah.
things like that. And I've got footage from those, back in the day, especially like when I was like 10 years old, 8, 9, 10 years old, and you can just see me vlogging around the house, just randomness. I'm just pointing out like, oh, this is a photo frame on the wall, and like it's just like, you know, it's just there. And I've got this like, I had this like old Pikachu camera because
Hmm.
I'm a massive Pokemon fan. I had this old Pikachu camera, and like I used to love just running around taking photos with that. I don't know how many rolls of film I wasted, and now looking back at that, it's it's interesting to think that how valuable film is now, but
I was gonna say
you know,
back then it was fine. Like back
yeah,
then you
back then
could
it was fine.
waste
I think
film,
there
and
was
you're
like
like, eh.
15 rolls of film, and I've got like tons of like physical photos of just random blurry nonsense. But that stemming into me always wanting, when smartphones came around, or camera phones came around, I'd always look at the phones that had the highest megapixels, or the ones that had the best camera features, and I'd
Yeah.
always want the phones coming out that had like the most unique camera features. For example, I loved the HTC phones back when they were a thing,
Hmm.
and when the HTC One came out with its unique ultra pixel camera or whatever it was called, I wanted that. I got that on like release day. I loved taking photos with that thing, and then from there, it's always been like, which camera is the best on what phone, and I'd always try and go for that, and I practice a lot of photography with the phones. So the Huawei phones always had like nice Leica cameras, so I'd always go for the
Hmm.
Huawei phones over thing. And then recently, because iPhones have been doing so good with theirs, it's been like, which whenever it comes out with a new outstanding feature, I'd go for that. But in terms of actual physical cameras, the first kind of real digital camera I properly used would have been my wife's Samsung NX1000.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was, it was around the time, actually when we got married, and I bought it for her just before that as like a gift, and then I didn't really use it properly until we went on our honeymoon. I started playing around with that, and I was like, oh, this is really cool.
Yeah,
But then
yeah.
that was her camera, and then when I got into kind of started to do things like streaming, I picked up the Canon M50, which would have
Yep.
been my actual first ever camera, and I started playing around with that a lot. And that's probably truly when I started falling in love with cameras, and
Hmm.
it just kind of spiraled from there. So I had the Canon M50. I used it for videos. I used it for photos. I bought a bunch of lenses for it. It was a great little camera. Had its limitations for kind of the things I'm doing right now, for example, but it was a
Yeah.
great starter piece, and I absolutely loved that thing. I used it for a really long time, and then I picked up my first full frame camera, being the Canon RP,
Hmm.
and used that, and that's where I started doing freelancing, because I was like, I've got a full frame camera, I can start actually trying to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
paid
yeah.
now. And then used that a bunch. Then I got the Canon EOS R, which was an absolutely amazing camera. Even now, I think for photography, it's such a good camera. Like it's 30 something megapixels. It's clean photos, really really high quality. I used the heck out of that thing to the point where I think I managed to somehow even damage the sensor. It was great.
Jesus.
But following on from that, I had the Canon R6, another great photography camera, the Canon R5, which was obviously like 45 megapixel beauty. That thing was a beast of a camera for photography, and I did so many like weddings and other things with that. It was really,
Yeah.
really good. And then, all along that, I kind of started liking video more than photo.
Hmm.
So when I started to dwell more and more and more into videography, there was one photography show that I went to, and I was vlogging around with the Canon R5 in my hand, it's a massive camera. It's not
Yeah,
massive
yeah.
camera. It's a chunky guy.
Yeah.
I went to the Sony booth because I mean I'm not brand loyal in that sense where I have to use a Canon, or I'm like Team Canon or
Yeah.
Team stuff. If it works for me, it works. And at that time, Canon, I had been in the Canon ecosystem, so it was working for me. But I
Yeah.
hadn't got a lot of Canon lenses, or it wasn't like that. I was using it because it worked, and that's what I was used to, and I thought that was the greatest thing because Peter McKinnon was using one of them,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
So I thought, yeah, great. But then the guy at the Sony stand who saw me vlogging around with this was like, hey, you're doing a lot of video clearly, and you're doing a lot of stuff on YouTube and whatnot. Why are you not considering something like the Sony A7S III, which is, in many ways a superior camera for video and low light and stuff like that? And yeah, it's 12 megapixels, blah blah blah. But why not? Why not? Why not try the Sony? And he
Yeah.
almost convinced me there and then to trade in my Canon R5 and get the A7S III, but I held back, and I did a lot of digging behind it, and I watched comparisons, and then I finally made the switch to Sony because I was like, yeah, do you know what? The A7S III probably works better for me. And then since then, I've been on Sony. That was about 2.5, maybe 3 years ago now, and I've been in the Sony ecosystem since.
You've had
And
or you do have, is it the ZV-1 you have?
I had the ZVE1 until very,
Okay.
very recently,
Yeah,
when
because
I've actually traded it in for this guy, which
yeah, I
is
saw, yeah.
I don't know if you guys can see, this is a
Yeah.
Nikon with a Sony lens, with a Sony E mount lens on it. So yeah, I've picked up this. This is the Nikon ZR, and I don't know. We can talk about this in a bit as well because it is a
Yeah.
beautiful camera. It is a very very beastly camera. But yeah, I'm still Sony. I'm still Team Sony though. So I've got my Sony A7C II, which is
Yep.
pretty much now my primary camera for all things content creation and photography, because this thing is
Hmm.
it is really really good for photos. Very very good for photos.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I knew you had the ZV-1 because last time we met up when I was doing street photography and you wanted to test, I think the new gimbal you'd picked up. I swear you had the
Yes, it
ZV-1
was.
on that.
Yeah.
And it was like a couple of lenses in that gimbal you wanted to try out, and you're just getting like insanely cinematic shots of me just like failing to change batteries.
Yes, ZV-1 is a beautiful camera, and it's the same sensor as the A7S III and the Sony FX3, which obviously people love. But it is a very underrated camera. Like people who want to aspire to get an FX3 should save the little bit of money and get the ZV-1 instead, because really
Yeah.
it does the same thing. It
Yeah.
heats
Yeah.
up a little bit more. I mean, depends on what you want it for, but if it's for content and for social media, the ZVE1 is an absolute powerhouse, and it
Yeah.
has done so much for me for my content. Like prior to the past, pre-November, I have done all of my social media content is pretty much done with either the A7S3 and then the ZVE1, because it is, for video, it is an absolute beast of a camera.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's actually like you talking about the Nikon or the Nikon if you're American. This one of the other questions I wanted to ask you is what your current gear setup is. That's like
Right.
perfect. I think we should move on to that as well
Let's move on to that.
because I haven't seen you since you got the Nikon. Because last time I saw you, your wife was pregnant, right? You were just about to have another child, and
Yes.
so obviously life got very busy, even
Mm.
busier than it was, and now you've got a new baby in the form of a Nikon as well. So I haven't heard about either of the babies.
Yeah, right. So the real baby is doing
Yep.
well. I had a daughter in July, end of July. She's today actually 4 months old. Yes, today it's the
Okay.
28th. So she's 4 months old today, and she's doing fantastically. My
Awesome.
new baby is the Nikon ZR, but I'll
Yeah.
get to that in a second. So right now I am using the Sony A7C II as my kind of primary do-it-all content creation photography camera, just because it is also a powerhouse beast. Same sensor as the Sony A7 IV, with added AI features in a much more kind of compact body. And
Yeah.
I primarily use this really when I'm doing photography with the Tamron 28-75, which you got to use when we met up
Yeah.
last time. And I think that is an absolute fantastic lens. Like if you are after
I need it.
something that has G Master quality,
Yeah.
but don't want to pay the G Master price, the Tamron 28-75 is an absolute fantastic choice. I mean,
It's
the focal
insanely good.
range, yeah, the focal range is close enough to that 24-70 that you'd want. 28 is a teeny bit tighter, but it still works.
Take a step back.
And
You'll be okay.
yeah, take a step back. You're
Yeah.
fine. And really, the 28-75, it's been a staple in my photography
Mhm.
set up for the longest time. I was using the 24-105 for a
Yeah.
while, but the F4 was a little limiting just because of the type of content that I shoot. The F4
Mhm.
was a little bit limiting, and I wanted a sharper 28-75 and slightly faster lens, so I did switch back to that. I'm also pairing it a lot, especially for video, with these Samyang lenses, these
Yep.
unique looking kind of funky lenses. And these are actually autofocus cine lenses, which
Yeah.
rarely exist.
Mhm.
And I've got three of them. I've got a 24mm T1.9, a 35mm, and a 75mm, all T1.9s. And they produce really fantastic images. But the bonus is they're primes that are cine primes, but you can take photos with them because they're autofocus lenses.
Yeah.
So they kind of work as a dual purpose for me, but majority of the work I'm doing with these is for video. And these lenses are all the same kind of size. If I show you another one of them,
Yeah, I
they're,
remember. I
they're-
remember when you got them. I remember
yeah,
seeing you like line them out on Instagram, and I was like,
yeah,
"That's mad that they are
they're
barely
exactly the same
different."
size. It's the
Yeah.
same weight. So if I throw this on a gimbal, I can interchange between these lenses really, really easily. I've also got a Sigma 50mm, which 50mm 1.4, which is another fantastic sharp lens and really good for portraits. And I've got a small 20mm 2.8. But then I've also got now this Nikon ZR,
Yeah.
which is a collaboration between Nikon and Red. So it's their
Mhm.
first in their line of Z cinema cameras. It's got this huge 4-inch display,
Yeah.
which I kind of
It's
pair it side by
insane, isn't
side
it?
with this. You can see kind of on the screen how much bigger it is than on the Sony.
Yeah.
Um, and it shoots in Red RAW, which is what the Red cine cameras like the Red Komodo and V Raptor and Monstro and all of those kind of big,
Mhm.
bulky cinema level cameras shoot in. 12-bit Red RAW, not 16-bit like those, but it's still Red RAW.
Yeah.
And it's just a really cool camera, right? Like I think it's one of the best, most unique cameras that have come out in recent times. And it's the first camera I've ever picked up on pretty much on release, just because I was so intrigued by the fact it does have Red RAW and wanted to test that out, that I just had to get it. And the bonus of this is that with the help of an adapter, which is almost, you can't really see it. Like
Oh
that's
wow.
the lens with an adapter
Yeah,
on
yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's so thin. If I take this off, it's like that
That's
thin.
nothing. Yeah.
It's nothing. So like I can actually use all of my Sony kit on this camera. So I only have one Nikon lens, and that's the kit lens this came with, which is a 24-75 f4. Apart from that, I'm
That's not a bad
basically,
kit lens either, to be
and
fair.
it's a really good kit lens for what it is. And you know, an f4 constant aperture 24-70, it's a really
Yeah.
good backup lens in case the adapter ever fails. So I'm basically going to keep that on me all the time.
Yeah,
And
I
it's a
mean
very,
you're normally getting what? It'd normally be
it's like
probably
a
like a 28 to 50 or 70, and it'll be like 3.5 to 5.6 or
something like
3.5
that.
to
Yeah,
6.3.
yeah. It's one of the best kit lenses I think that comes with a camera, as far
Yeah.
as I know. And then, but because it has this, you know, the depth of, I think it's the sensor depth or something like that of the Nikon Z mount system, basically means that you can adapt so many different lenses to it.
Yeah.
And so I can basically use all of my Sony lenses with full autofocus, and it works great. And that's what I've been doing with it. And this thing shoots some beautiful video, but it's also the same sensor as the Z6 Mark III, the Nikon Z6 Mark III, which is also a very powerful photography camera as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it's got three formulas of RAW. It's got your Red RAW, Nikon N RAW, and Apple ProRes RAW HQ internally. So I don't need to attach like external SSDs or anything to it to shoot with that.
Yeah.
It makes it a really powerful camera.
Yeah.
And the idea behind getting this and kind of trading in the ZVE1 is because, I mean, I've got a camera that I've got a really good hybrid camera that can do video and photo. This is also a very good hybrid camera that can do video and photo.
Hmm.
But it has that red formula in it, which means that if I want to use it for kind of high pay productions or personal projects where I want the maximum quality coming out of it, something cinematic, maybe some personal short films that I'm planning and projects like that, then
Yeah.
I can use the ZR. But also just for everyday content stuff as well, it's a fantastic camera, and just everything coming out of it comes out really well. Even the H.265, which a lot of people are complaining about, I've played around with it and I've seen no issues with it at all. I think it's still really, really good. As you can see, I'm a massive gearhead. I love talking about gear, so I could go on for days. But that is my current kit right now.
Awesome.
My primary combo with the ZR is with this Sigma 24mm f1.4, which is probably one of my all-time favorite lenses because I love the 24mm focal length, but this, particularly the Sigma R f1.4, produces really nice sharp images both for photos and for video, fantastic autofocus, and it pairs really well with the kind of shots I want to get with the ZR.
Yeah.
So, and it's also half the price of getting the 24mm GM lens. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, well, not half the price, but you know, it is a little bit cheaper.
Yeah. It's considerably cheaper, and it still does a great job, and that's
Yeah,
exactly what we're looking for.
that's right.
I mean, it's quite nice because like when I was like working out kind of who I wanted to have on the podcast and in orders and things like that, I was like, right, I personally sit somewhere between like being quite into gear, but I'm I'm into gear in the way that I love using a lot of different gear, and I do look at the specs of things before I use them. And but it's very rare that I'm like really looking into something new. It's a lot of the time
Yeah.
that I'm just like, I want to try this camera from like 2012, or like I want to try this camera from like 2016, or I'm always kind of looking for like the best camera I can find from a certain kind of like time period so that I can try something out that's cheaper, older, going to be making me work harder to get an image out of it,
Mm,
but I'm like getting the best I can get from like that kind of time period and what was
mm,
available then. Um, and also, Chris, who I spoke to in the first episode, is the opposite to that. Like he has like a couple of cameras, a couple of lenses, mainly just uses the one medium format camera, and carries like his lighting with him when he goes everywhere, and like that's it. He's like, I don't really care about gear. I learned on film where I just had to understand what I was doing, and gear has never really mattered to me. And so
Yeah.
when I was laying out like the order of how I wanted these to come out, I was like, there's gonna be such a beautiful contrast for like number one, a person that's just like, this is how I take photos. All that matters to me is how I take them rather than what I'm using. Like I like these certain caveats, but like otherwise fine. To come straight over to a person who's just like, gear is the best. So like
I mean,
two
I I
episodes
de- I, I
however one feels.
definitely I definitely have gear acquisition syndrome because I
Yeah,
mean
me
it's a
too, to be
problem
fair.
it's a problem at this point. But I will say I'm not crazy in the sense that I'm not gonna go and grab every single new camera that ever comes out. I am
Yeah.
conservative in that sense. If it works for me, that's what matters. The
Hmm.
A7C2 was something that I was after for a long time because I like my compact setups.
Yeah.
I was doing at the time a little bit less of the freelance commercial photography, and I was focusing more on content, which I'm still doing a lot of. Um, so having that combo of the ZVE1 and the A7C2, both very compact, lightweight cameras, which I keep in my
Hmm.
bag and take out to shoots or take out in a street photography, round of street photography and just do what I want with it, create content, vlog, do whatever I need to.
Yeah.
That's what works for me, and that's why I made that choice. And you'd think, why go from something like an A7S3 to a ZVE1? And that was exactly why I wanted that more lightweight setup. Where the A7S3, very
Hmm.
similar cameras in terms of the images they produce, but it's more of a professional body. It's heavier, bulkier, and I wanted something lightweight that also had the newest AI features that just make my life a little bit easier. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, I will say one thing is that when when people ask me for recommendations as to kind of what kind of cameras to get or what to get, I speak a lot from experience, but I also speak a lot from what I try and understand what the needs of that person. I'm not going to go and say, yeah, get the Nikon ZR
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or get the new A7 V that's apparently going to come out next week. Or, I'm not the kind of gearhead which will go and say, oh, this has the best specs, get this camera, even though it's
Yeah.
going to cost you an arm and a leg and a kidney. I will always advise based off of the needs of that person. And 90% of the time, when people have asked me what camera to get as a starting content creator, my answer has been the ZVE10. And
Yeah.
maybe now in recent days it'll be the ZVE10 too, because the price brackets of that are coming down.
I mean,
And it's
it's a
because
great camera. I mean, I'm using it now.
exactly is I had the ZVE10 as well, which I forgot to mention. I had the ZVE10 for a long time, but it is such a good camera for what
Hmm.
it is and what it
Yeah.
produces. And it's got a mechanical shutter. It's got the
Hmm.
same sensor as the Sony A6400, which is a very popular photography camera.
Yeah.
It's got that compact body, lightweight. It is a really good camera, and because it's such a good camera, I can always safely suggest it. And I've never had somebody come back and say that, oh, that suggestion you made about the ZVE10, I didn't really like that camera.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever said that to me. It's always worked out perfectly because my my whole channel is based around tech, but it's about giving advice about that tech. What
Yeah.
will work best for you, how to use your tech properly, what kind of tech is for what kind of purposes. Yes, I do use what right now is one of the best cameras on the market, or one of the newest cameras on the market. But
Yeah.
despite that, I will still say that the Sony A7C2 is what I will pick up 90% of the time
Hmm.
when I'm going to go out and shoot, because I have this memorized in terms of how I use it. It does
Yeah.
everything for me. It is more lightweight and compact, and it works perfectly for what I want it to do. If I want something a bit more fancy for a bit more of a fancy project, then the ZR is my option now. But for majority of it, I'm always going to suggest that one lens, one camera is pretty much all you're going to need for 90% of the things you're going to do, especially if you're a hobbyist. I
Yeah. Yeah.
will I will always advise that learn the actual art of photography or art of video, how to
Hmm.
compose your image, how to light your image, how to light your product, your subject, how to, the recording settings, the settings you're using, are they the right thing? How you're going to think about editing that video, or what kind of style you want for that photo. That's
Yeah.
the main thing to learn when you're trying to learn content. And that's why I also do a lot of content on the iPhone, because
Mhm.
most people already have a really good camera in their pocket, and
Yep.
people are probably tired of hearing that, oh, the best camera you've got is in your pocket, kind of thing. But it's true. Like, these
It is.
things are
Yeah.
so powerful. I mean, I've got this rig for a reason. Is because I really want to test out what, like, a combined maybe less than 150 pound cage rigs combo can do to changing
Yeah.
what this thing is capable of. Like, you slap on an SSD, which you can get some really
Yeah. I was
cheap
gonna
ones.
say, is that an SSD? Yeah.
Yeah, so you can slap on an SSD, which you can get a really bunch of really cheap ones, a light, any kind of ND filter to go with it, and a camera cage that can fit all of that onto it, or phone cage that can fit all of that into it, and then you've turned an iPhone into something that can create really cinematic videos. And again, I'll have a video coming out on this soon, so
Hmm.
anybody who wants to check that out can see for themselves what kind of images that produces. But these phones can do ProRes RAW now. Like,
Yeah.
it is insane. You can shoot in log, you can color grade, you can shoot in ProRes RAW. The photos coming out of this thing are amazing. Like, if I'm out with family and I've got 3 kids, I'm not going to whip out a camera all the time. I went to
Yeah.
Malaysia, and the two things that I had in my hand all the time were my phone and the DJI Action 5, because they were the easiest things to use. Even though I did take my ZVE1 and my A7C2 along with me, and I had the A7C2 on me pretty much all the time, I rarely took it out. It just stayed in the bag because it was too much
Yeah. Yeah.
hassle.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
having a phone in your hand, and the DJI, which is, it's a tiny little thing,
Hmm.
it's it's what works at the end of the day to get you that shot and to produce that image that you're after. That's
Yeah.
really what matters. So what you say is, Chris was his name.
Yeah.
I think he's got the right idea, and especially being a professional photographer, like, he's got that right idea where, yeah, as much as I love my gear, I also understand the fact that gear isn't everything. It helps,
Yeah.
definitely helps. If you want to make your life easier, yes, having the most advanced gear can help, because you will spend less time trying to figure it out and more time than shooting. But that being said, if you understand what you're trying to do and actually spend the time to learn it, that's probably worth a lot more than just,
Mhm.
you know, relying on the latest tech and thinking that that's going to do the job for you.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I get where you're coming from like trying to like slim things down as well. Like, I won't go into it too much. So I mentioned it to Chris in the last one, but like, I've slimmed down what I take when
Yeah.
I shoot now. I used to take like everything, and I was just like, I can't be doing that anymore. I'm 33 now. My back will break if I just wear my camera bag all day. But also, like, it's even down to like cameras. So I've got the A7 III as like my main like workhorse body, and I'm thinking about changing it for one of the A7C ranges because of that more compact body, and just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it will just fit that workflow really easily. And I'm even thinking about changing this, and I love this camera for having it as like a second body, because I use mainly Sony cameras. Like, I do have a
Yeah.
random other bunch of ranges up there, but like being able to just throw lenses on and off of it is great. But I've been really tempted because this used to be my travel camera, and it doesn't go anywhere now because I've got a cage on it for when I do some videography stuff with it, which is like rare. But like, I shot some music videos recently, and I had that I was using this for photos while I was using the other camera for videography, and
Mm.
it doesn't come with me anymore. It's just like I see it too much as like a tool, and it's too big to just go into a small bag for me to go traveling with it, right? So I picked up the original XT100 for like a crazy deal like a couple of months back, and it became my travel camera because it's so much smaller and lighter, and I also love it. It's one of my favorite cameras I've ever used now, and it's the original one. Like, so I spent like £320 on it, which is a ridiculous
Yeah,
deal.
that's insane. That's really good.
Um, and yeah, I love it, but I really kind of want to find a travel camera that I can take that I can also get like good video footage on, because
Mm.
I'm as similar as you. Like, when I just came back from Portugal, and I think when this goes out, the Portugal video would have just gone out like a few days ago potentially, or it's coming up. I can't remember dates.
Yeah.
I use the Ace Pro 2 as my vlogging camera because it's lightweight, it's easy to hold. I have a little cage on it for throwing a light on if I need to, and it just works. Like I can pull it in and out of a small bag or out of a pocket, and I know it's not going to get damaged. I know it's weather sealed, like it'll be fine. But there are some times when you're at a place and you think, I'd love to be able to statically sit a camera and just get some like really cinematic footage of what's happening here. And that's harder to get on something with like such an insanely wide field of view and that you can't really kind of get to sit exactly where you want it to sit. It's times one or times two if you're zooming in and out, and that's it. You can't
Yeah,
really do
I
anything
get you.
else. And I've been really tempted, and it just went on Black Friday sale down like £60, and there's a small chance I even go pick it up tomorrow. But I've been really tempted by the PowerShot V1 because
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's basically a 4/3 sensor but in like a 3:2 format.
that's it.
So
Yeah,
it's a little bit smaller than the APS-C that's in this, but not enough that it's going to be destroying anything in low light. I'm still
no,
going to be able to do it. Um, it's the same level of stabilization. This doesn't have anything. That doesn't have anything other than this is all lens based or digital, and the V1 has lens stabilization or is digital. But
yeah,
it's just like I used to want something like this because I thought I need to be able to have a crazy zoom range if I want it. But now
mm,
I predominantly shoot for fun with the X100 and I'm like locked in at 35. I've realized that I don't actually love that. Like my ideal like kind of range now is between 35 and 50 and the V1 is 16 to 50. And so
yeah,
I'm just like maybe I sell this and the lens that is with because I've got the f4 like 16 to 70 Sony lens.
yeah,
And I'm just like maybe I just sell this and get the V1. It is way smaller. It has an inbuilt fan, so even when I'm in a hotter country, if I'm vlogging with it, it's not going to overheat. It's so compact. There isn't really a massive difference in quality between the two of them. I just can't
Have,
think of a thing that's going to make me
have
regret
you
it.
considered? Have you also considered like the ZV-1 2, which is also a very compact, lightweight camera that does almost everything like that a ZV-10, ZV-10 2 can do, but it's tinier and it's got a built-in zoom, very much like what the power shots are. Have you considered that? Because I think that would also be. I mean, I would look into it if I were you as well. Because I don't. I'm not saying don't get the V1 if
Yeah,
if you've got
yeah,
your heart into it. Definitely, you know, I'm not going to recommend against it because it is a fantastic camera. But
yeah,
I think for what you're saying, the kind of things that you're talking about for a little bit more video and vlogging and stuff like that, I think that the ZVE, not the ZVE1, the ZV-1 2
yeah.
is a good choice.
That's the
And
1 inch sensor, right?
it is the 1 inch sensor
Yeah,
one, I think.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's I think it's a fantastic camera that has similar AI features. You can plug it in and do streaming and stuff like that. It's much,
Mhm.
it's slightly newer. I don't know the price range, so that might be a factor as well, obviously. So off the top of my head, I don't know the price range for it, but it
That
is
is,
also a very good competitor in terms of what kind of things you're looking for, being able to set it up, take cinematic shots, but also do
yeah.
photography with it and
Hmm.
have that versatility where you've got a nice zoom range that you can work between. So
Yeah,
I think it's a good thing. But I completely understand what you're saying in terms of having something that's a little bit more versatile, but still doesn't add like considerable bulk to
yeah,
your carry. Like that's why I love the A7C2 so much. It's just because it's so much smaller than your average full frame body. Like here, I've got it with that Samsung
yeah,
lens. But if I pop, let me show you something.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is interesting because I love this. I love this thing, and I've got like a cool little box here for it. So these are another kind of set of lenses that I've got, which I've shown on my page before, and this is a interchangeable lens. So this is called the Samyang Remaster Slim, and they're
Mhm.
primarily photography lenses, but I mean you can use it for video as well if you want. And
Yeah.
these things, it's tiny. It's a pancake lens. So if I pop off what I've got there and I pop this on,
That reminds me of the 4/3 like power zoom
yeah,
lenses that you get with like the Lumixes and stuff like
yeah.
that.
So this is so look at that. That's
Yeah.
actually a
It's about the same
very,
as
like,
the
if I
grip.
take this out in public, if I don't have the cage on it and stuff like that, if I take this
Yeah.
out, nobody will tell that this is like a almost professional grade camera.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
the really unique thing about this is it comes in 3 different focal lengths. So I've got here actually these little so this is so what I've got on there right now is a 32 millimeter, and
Mhm.
I've got here is a 28 millimeter, and all I have to do is pop out this lens.
That's mad. I don't think I've ever seen these.
This is insane. And then you just pop in the other one, twist it, and there you go. Now I've got a 28 millimeter on there, and I've got another one which is a bit wider at 21 millimeter. There's fixed. So these are f3.5s, and the
Yeah.
32 is an f2.8, which is great. You know, your standard zoom lenses are f2.8, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
So f3.5 isn't actually that bad, and the fact that it's a constant aperture,
Yeah.
it's this is I think this is one of the most people don't talk about this enough. It's got a MF/AF rocker on there. It's not a zoom lens per se, but you know you've got that option of 3 different focal
Yeah,
lengths.
yeah,
If
yeah.
you want to go a bit wider, you can. If you want to go a bit tighter, you can. The 28 is your nice in between,
Mhm.
and you know I can fit this almost in my pocket, and
That's actually great. Like, I've genuinely never seen them.
yeah. This is
Okay, when
I
we
was
are
amazed when
when we're
yeah
not on this call, I need you to send me a link to them. Because I'm not saying I'm definitely gonna buy them, but I am definitely gonna buy them.
yeah.
So
I think for I mean it's a full frame. It's a full frame, like it's a full frame lens, so you can use this on your A7 III. You can use this on your ZVE10 as well,
yeah.
and it's such a great little pickup. Like, obviously, you know, full disclosure, I got this sent to me by the distributor for Samyang here, Holden. So they sent this out to me
Yeah.
for testing and for reviewing and to keep. But I think these are a fantastic pickup because this pairs also with my Nikon now. So if I have my Nikon, which is obviously slightly bigger body than my
Yeah.
so my A7C2, but if I throw this guy on it, I mean, this is a nice little
Yeah.
combo that I've got here that I can take my Nikon out whenever I want, and it's not as bulky
Yeah,
as
yeah,
it
yeah.
would be with a giant 24 millimeter lens on it. So I can throw this into one of my slim bags or anything like that, and I've got myself a really nice camera which has a massive screen, which because I'm blind, obviously that makes a huge difference for me.
That's the only
Um,
reason you got that Nikon is so you can see what's going on
but
now.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a blind. I'm super blind. So like that small screen, I've for videography especially, trying to see if my subject is in focus or not is a big challenge. So I always end up using a monitor or something like that. And with this, I don't have to anymore. It's much bigger. But yeah, I mean, there's so many cool options right now. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
definitely. But you know what? I really like your version of gear acquisition, which is like the older tech. And I wish I
Mhm.
could get into that because if you think about how technology has advanced and how people did make do with that, like at one point, if you think about it, that was the latest and greatest.
Yeah. And
So
people still did amazing photography with that.
exactly, it's not
Yeah.
like the quality of work has drastically changed. Like something somebody's done maybe 15, 20 years ago versus now, or 10, 10, 15 years ago, if you think about digital photography more,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
something that somebody's produced 10, 15 years ago might still be better than what your average Joe is producing with like a Nikon ZR in today's day and time.
Yeah.
But they've used tech from back then to produce
Yeah.
it, which means it can be done. It's just that people are a bit too lazy to actually go around and do it. So I really enjoy that aspect of your videos and your content as well when you talk about it because it's like challenging yourself to understand photography more by using tech that people would have once upon a time used as the latest. versions
Yeah, yeah,
of
yeah,
and cameras that they have. So at the end of the day, whatever works. Like I've seen
yeah.
people produce amazing content with just their smartphone, or
Hmm.
there's a creator, and he's not a photographer, videographer, but he's a content creator, Harrison. Yep, I think his name is. And he's just hit 200,000 on Instagram, which is flipping
Damn.
insane. And
Yeah,
he started around the same time, if not after I did, on Instagram. He does everything with an iPhone, and he has always done all his content with an iPhone, and it looks amazing. I mean, it's gear setup stuff that he does, so it's like setup based stuff, desk setup.
yeah,
But his content looks so good, and his aesthetic is so good. So if there are creators out there who can do that with just their phone, then why can't we also try and learn how that process works and use gear that experiment with different types of gear? Because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that's the fun part of being a photographer or a videographer who's also a bit of a techie and loves their gear.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Like the funniest one is, and my favorite like pickup recently is, I know what I want as an everyday carry, but I am refusing to spend the money on it right now. So like I know I want a Ricoh GR3X. Like
Yeah,
that for me
yeah,
is my perfect pocket camera.
yeah,
Just perfect. Like I'm not. I say perfect. If it had a little pop-up EVF, it would be perfect for me. But I
yeah,
can make do without that, right? If I really need it, I'll get a little optical attachment. It's not the end of the world. But I'm refusing to buy it. And so I thought what would be really fun to try out was, and I put this video out a little while ago. I picked up the Ricoh GX100, and it's
yeah,
from like 2007 or 2008, but it has that Ricoh body. Like
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
you can
That's it.
see that that's where the GR range started to come into. Like it was the GX, then it was the GR Digital, and then it's just the GR range. And you can see that the body has barely changed. It's just got a little thicker. And when I took that to London, I was like, I'll get what I get. And like for me, it helps me like, I don't know, I'm trying to learn still like why I take a photo, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I understand that.
And like what it is that I love about it. Like I understand it more for some things, but other times I'll walk away and I'll be like, that's my favorite photo of the day, and it's unlike anything I've ever shot, and I don't understand why I love it. But like I find that using older tech where I have to really think about like how the camera works, how I'm gonna get a photo, kind of helps me understand the photo I'm taking too, because I also have to think about that rather than
Yeah.
being like, I've got my A7 III, I can just know I can spray a couple of photos and in there will be the one I wanted and I
That's
can just
it.
move on. Like I
Spoken
have to
like a true
really slow
photographer.
down. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I came away with some photos that I really like. Like if people watching this now haven't watched it, go check it out. Like there's some photos in there that I really, really enjoyed, and it's for a camera that I bought at midnight on eBay for £120.
I think that's what this is about. At the end of the day, we're you know we're out here to enjoy the craft, and
Yep.
if you can enjoy the craft by doing that, by testing out old tech, you know, rather than just spraying and praying that you get the shot, being able to understand what that photo is, the composition, why you're taking it, why it makes you feel the way you feel when you see it,
Yeah.
that is what really matters. And I think that takeaway, the fact that those photos you took that day made you so happy by using gear that, despite using gear rather, that
Yeah.
is like 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. I can't, my mental math is really horrible right now, but very old.
Yeah.
That's the best feeling you can really get
Yeah.
when you walk away from a day of photography or a day of shooting film or video or whatever it is you want to do, and you think, I'm happy with what I got. This
Yeah.
this is what that's what it's about. It's that feeling you get. Really, I don't want to get too emotional about it, but there are instances where I've come back and I'm, despite having all of this gear, gone out on a shoot. I've come back and be like, I'm not really happy with any of this because all I've been doing all day is pointing at
Yeah.
random things and taking a photo, and not really understanding why I'm taking this photo. What did I see there? Where's the vision? Where's the image? Like,
Yeah.
what is that? telling me. And it's just like, despite having all of this fancy equipment, you sometimes come back and think, not really what I wanted.
Mm.
But being able to go out and come back with a set of photos, even if, you know, 8 out of 10 of them aren't great, but you get those two shots, even that one shot, and you think that that's it. That's what I went out for today, and I've come back with it. And you've done that with something that's not latest tech, because you've actually tried to understand what photography is. Now, I'm not going to go all artsy on everybody and be like, that thinking that I understand what photography is. I don't know. For you know I'm not your purebred photographer kind of person. Like, I never have been. I'm a sciencey guy. I love my tech. So for me, photography is a means, obviously, to express myself, but at the same time, you know, it's just something I just genuinely really enjoy. I mean, I'm not looking at the really deep artsy understanding part of it, or the philosophical side of it, or trying to tell a story from a photo and all of that kind of stuff. Though, yes, I'm
Yeah.
trying to learn more how to do that and understand that aspect of photography a bit more, and that aspect of video and storytelling. Like I am in my videos right now, I'm trying to explore more storytelling and trying to, you know, get more accustomed to that and get better at it.
Hmm.
But it's always just been, I've just always enjoyed using the gear and getting a shot, but not having to think too deeply about it, which is why my version of gear acquisition syndrome, which is the latest tech and whatever comes out new, it's a problem. But that's what makes me happy, and it's different for different people. So,
Yeah.
you know, when people say gear doesn't matter, it really does. And it's not that new gear matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gear matters because it affects the way you think about the craft.
100%. Like, I'll say this, and then we'll take a look at some of your photos. Just 'cause I really want to kind of get into them, but um, I'll touch on that. Before, I was going to say, one of the things I enjoyed when we shot our POV together, walking through London, was it was one of the first times, like, I've done photo walks with other people before, and it's very much like a case of like the person's like, I took this photo, and I'm like, that's cool, and then that's where like it ends. Whereas like there's a few clips in the video, and a lot that like we didn't even film, where we were talking about like why we took a photo, or like why we took the same
Yeah,
photo, as well as like what we were looking at.
yeah,
And like that was like one of my favorite parts of that like walk, and that's why as soon as you have space in your busy schedule again, we're doing it again.
yep,
um
absolutely.
but then to touch on the gear point, like I mentioned to Chris before, I have always been like, I like trying different cameras, whether they are, I've always loved watching like 1 month two cameras, where she's just going back through loads of old gear, and like she doesn't really
Yep,
do 1 month two cameras now, but like she's done so many, and it was just so like Ali was so like, it's just so captivating to watch talking about like that passion, and like that's how I feel
yeah,
about them too. And I didn't really get it until I got the original X100, and then as soon as I took it to Italy for like a 4 day trip. We went to like Pisa, Florence, and Lucca, and it didn't leave my hand or my body. It was either strapped to me or in my hand. And there's just something about that camera that when I use it, I feel way more passionate about photography and way more creative than I've ever felt with any camera ever. And so,
yeah.
like,
I know
weird
that
people say
feeling.
camera like gear doesn't matter, but like it does if what you find is the thing that like makes you better.
This is how I felt. I mean, like I mean, I'm talking about how I really love the A7C II because it is a really fantastic camera. But
Yeah,
despite that, that's how I've been feeling every time I've been using the ZR.
yeah.
Because I bought, like I said, this is the first ever camera that I bought. It's got a little smudge on it. I'm really not happy about that. It's like, I love keeping my cameras clean. It's funny story on that. I'll mention, but you know, I every time I'm picking this up and I'm trying to shoot something with it, because it's a new camera, it's my first time ever using the Nikon system. And obviously, it's my first time trying to work with that red workflow, which in cinematography and filmmaking is one of the most popular kind of looks you're going to get, is that red look. People know what that red look is. So I'm really trying to understand what this camera is about. Because with a Sony, I know what the Sony look like. I know how S-Log 3 works. I know how to get my exposure nailed
Mhm.
almost all the time. And even if I don't, I know that in post production, I can figure it out and it will be fine. I'll still
Yeah.
get a great image out of whatever I'm using. Whatever lens I've got on this, whatever I'm shooting with, I know I can produce good images with this, which is fine. And that's great. But with the ZR, despite it being such a high spec camera, high quality camera with everything you can do, I'm really having to slow down with it because it's taking me. I don't know if it's my old age, but it's taking me older. I mean, I'm not that much older than you are, but
I was going to say, careful there,
yeah,
tarring me with the same brush.
no, yeah, we're almost the same. But I'm saying I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the three kids
Yeah,
that is dulling my brain. But I'm having to really slow down to try and understand how to use this camera to its maximum capacity. But every time
yeah,
I'm using it, it's making me feel like how you're feeling with the X100. It's
yeah.
just something about this guy is it's a really cool camera, but I'm really happy with what it produces and the fact that I'm having to actually work a bit harder, not a bit hard, significantly harder, to really think about how to produce image because I really don't want to waste this camera's potential
Mhm.
with mediocre stuff. So if I'm shooting something with it, I really want to be able to shoot the best that I'm capable of and what this is capable of using that red draw because mate the storage is huge. Like the file sizes on this thing are massive. I've got
Yeah.
1 terabyte CF Express card in it and it only gets me an hour and a half of 24 fps footage, which is
Wow.
insane. Like that's
Yeah,
what
yeah, yeah.
I'm getting more of that on a 128 gigabyte card shooting the maximum quality on the A7C2. So
Yeah.
that comparison there is it gives you a lot. Like the other day I went out and I shot 500 gigs worth of footage and I was like, oh my god, that's gonna my storage is gonna run out in no time. So storage is it's like film. If you think about it, it's like shooting film where every shot counts, every snap counts,
Yeah.
every roll counts. Because it's so expensive, it's costing you in some way or another. If this is
Yeah, yeah,
costing
yeah.
me as well, like, so I'm really having to think about if I'm going to get a shot, it has to be perfect. It
Yeah,
has
yeah,
to be
yeah.
as near perfect as I can get. I have to nail everything about that shot when I'm filming with this thing, and it's really making me slow down. Whereas if I'm picking up the A7C2, and I've got four 128 28 gig memory cards. If I fill up a memory card, it's no big deal. I'll take the other one. I'll just get rid of all of the other footage, and I can shoot
Yeah.
as much as I want, and it really won't affect me. Like
Yeah.
if I miss the shot, I can just do it again or try again and keep trying. But really, with this thing, you really don't have that kind of an option because you really want to not waste the storage on it, and you don't also want
Mhm.
to have to keep going back in and deleting things and whatnot. Like if you're on a busy day of a shoot, people who do shoot out and about a lot, you don't have the time to go through your
No.
footage
Yeah,
and
yeah,
be
yeah.
like, oh, this is a good shot. I'm gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna keep this one, but I'll get rid of this one because they're not like you ain't got time for that. You go through it
No.
quickly. It's like, okay, that's a good shot. Like you want to be able to just kind of move on to the next one. So you don't want to waste time. You don't want to waste storage, and it's really making me slow down to think about how I can maximize what this thing is capable of, but it's
Yeah.
making me feel good about it. Like even though I'm having to really change the way my workflow works when I'm out on a shoot,
Yeah.
it's affecting me in a way that it's helping me to learn more about filmmaking, cinematography, composition, lighting, you know, the distance that I'm standing at from a subject, even like especially using prime lenses, how I'm angling my subject, where the light is coming from, all of that kind of stuff that people think about. I'm now
Yeah.
starting to think more and more about because of that camera. Really,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like to think it's helping me shape into the kind of videographer or content creator that I want to be, and possibly similar to looking at the other creators that I take inspiration from and how their content looks, helping me get closer to not that same kind of content, but that
Yeah.
level
The
of
bits you like from it.
creativeness.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, talking about looking at other people's content, what a perfect segue. Let's look at
Okay.
your photos.
Let's go. Let's do this.
Okay, so photo number one, talk to me. It is the top of the shard, and there is a perfectly placed bird.
Yeah.
What made you want to take the photo? Tell me about it.
Fun fact: the photo I have sent you is taken on an iPhone 15 Pro Max, and it
Okay.
is completely unedited. That
Wow.
is
Okay, cool.
that is the raw image coming out of that camera, and it is probably one of the most, there's two versions of that. There's one where the bird is flying right across, and we're not going to talk about that one, but they're two very similar photos. But that photo is probably one of my favorite photos of all time, actually, because the Shard is one of my favorite buildings in the UK. In London, it is, I think, is an absolute beauty of a building.
Yeah.
The way it is. A lot of my photography is of the Shard. I always just end up having it as a subject whenever I go on a walk. I just somehow ends up happening that I try and be like, no, I'm not going to take photos of the Shard today, but I always end up taking photos of the Shard. That day, I was on Tower Bridge, and I was with another friend of mine. We were doing photography and just some content stuff. And I really wanted. I saw these birds. They were just flying around. It was a very cloudy day. It was a very
Yeah.
overcast day,
Standard
cold
London.
overcast day, as it is in London. Um,
Yeah.
and I love how just you've got that little jagged section of the top of the Shard, and I
Mhm.
really wanted to test out how well the zoom on the 15 Pro Max was doing.
Yeah.
Um, and the composition of that photo is, you've got, I'm trying to use the rule of thirds, and I'm trying to understand how I'm gonna shape that shot, and I saw the birds flying, and I thought, you get those shots of the aeroplanes going or the birds coming across,
Mhm.
and I was like, I love those kind of shots, and I really wanted to get where the bird was almost in the same focus kind of distance as the Shard was,
Yeah.
to get them aligned like that. And I only took two or three shots. It wasn't a spray and pray. Like, I really did try and time that photo from what I remember. And it was one of those where my hands were cold, and I'm just like with my phone. I'm just like trying to get, like, is it in frame? Am I getting that shot in frame properly? Is the bird coming
Yeah.
through? So I'm like checking over. It was just one of those kind of bucket list shots that
Yeah. Yeah.
you've always wanted to get, a bucket shot, whatever it's called. Mine's gone blank there. Kind of moments where you get that photo and you just think that was perfect, and the fact that
Yeah.
it was from an iPhone, and it was, that image that I've sent you is completely unedited.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of like a testament to my own kind of journey as a photographer, content creator, where, like, kind of going back to my roots as having started really taking interest in photography from smartphones and from
With
mobile
phones.
phones,
Yeah.
and liking the quality that comes out of them, always wanting the best quality phone camera and things like that. So the fact that it's taken on an iPhone and it's an unedited image, like you would do back in the day, where you take a photo and you
Yeah.
wouldn't really bother editing it or anything like that, and that's
Yeah.
in RAW. It's not in JPEG. It's not HEIF. It's a raw. It's a completely raw image, and to me, it looks that good.
Yeah. I
It,
I
it,
thought I thought it had been edited slightly,
no.
and
I will.
I zoomed
I'll maybe
in.
send you the edited version afterwards, just so that
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can
So I can have a look.
see and show what the difference is. But I've
Mhm.
edited it to make it a bit more of myself. But I still prefer the unedited version over the edited one, because
Yeah.
I just think it's a perfect photo for me. Like, from the type, I like buildings, I like the Shard. Um, I've never been into bird photography, but I like that look
Make a
of.
cool subject. Yeah.
Yeah, they make a cool subject, and the camera's going to start following me again. There we go. It started blinking at me. So they make a cool subject, but I always like the idea of capturing a bird mid-flight, like those wildlife photos you get of birds in mid-flight
Yeah.
and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I always like that idea. I've never been able to kind of explore photography like that, but it kind of just hit all the right marks. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's definitely one of my all-time favorites, and it was taken on an iPhone and completely unedited, and that's what makes
Yeah.
that photo really special to me.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, just before we move to the other one, what I will say is I was zooming in on that as soon as we started talking about it, and when you said it was a raw photo and stuff, and or before you even said it was a raw photo, and my kind of like test to see like how much data it had stored was just to zoom in on the bird to see what I could see, and I was like, I can't see everything, but I know for a fact the data's in there. Like you can see enough of an outline that you know that in an edit, if you pulled some of that shadow back, there is definitely some bird
Yeah,
detail there, which is
there is.
insane from a phone. Okay, tell me about this second one, which is a beautiful panning shot. Where okay, I was about to say where is it, but I can see the kind of slightly blurred panning "You are here, London" podium like sign with the yellow top and the map underneath. So it's definitely in London somewhere.
So
Yeah.
this was, funnily enough, on a different photo walk, um, with also with Sam, Optical Wonder,
Okay.
and I think it was it the first or second? It was maybe the first time I'd gone out on a photo walk ever, really.
Mhm.
But this was shot, from what I remember, on an A7S3, and I love the idea of panning shot. I love car photography. I love motorbike photography as well. It's something that I'm trying to get a lot more into, automotive photography rather.
Yeah.
Um, and I love Optical Wonders um style of panning shot photography. Like, he does a lot of these kind of photos. He's got some really good ones from Tokyo and things like that. I think one of the
Yeah.
challenges of that day was to get a photo in that area. This is actually in the bank area,
Mhm. Yeah.
near Royal Exchange, and
Yeah. I was
the
about to
idea,
say I kind of recognize the bricks
yeah,
behind. Yeah.
yeah. So it's in that area. There was a lot of works going on that day, in the area at that time, but the challenge was he had taken a photo in that area somewhere,
Yeah.
um, and we had to take a photo that was similar to whatever he had taken without knowing what that photo was.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So everybody was testing out different types of photos and things like that, and I just saw this opportunity of that motorbike coming past with
Yeah.
that driver, and I was like, do you know what? This is perfect. Let me try. I just quickly changed my settings, and as I saw him coming, and I managed to grab that panning shot. And it's not the most perfect panning shot, but I'm quite. It was one of the first times I'd actually tried it because I'd seen him do it a lot, and I thought, you know what, this might be what he's talking about. I
Yeah.
wasn't right, but I was close. I was close, but I wasn't exactly right. Um, but it was a really good kind of trial run of practicing panic. It was one of the first times I'd done it, and I was really impressed that I'd managed to actually get the subject quite well in focus.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah. 100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite well in focus, and yeah, I was really impressed by it. Like, it's not the best background that you want from a panning shot. You've got what are those the works barriers and things in the background and people, but it's still, you can see the other photographers there actually, in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
background.
Yeah.
Just about, you can see them trying to take a photo of this guy as well, and but it was, for me, I think what stood out about this photo is the fact that it was one of the first times I tried to get a panning
Mhm.
shot, and I'd pretty much gotten a decent attempt at it.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I word to people prior to like coming on the podcast that I want their like some of their favorite photos, not some of
Yeah.
their best photos.
Yeah.
Because if I just said best, everyone would come on with only the photos said like taken at proper shoots or on like proper days out was the best camera. And I would rather someone show me three photos that like people watching might be like, what? But they tell me three stories
Yeah,
about like
that's it.
what that did in their journey that's like way more interesting. And like I'll be honest with you, two things. One, I love when Chris's comes out, if you watch that one, the photo, the portrait he gets of a guy then, really similar story where like the guy was protesting outside Hillary Clinton's like book signing, and he literally just got to his studio, and he was like, "I've got like 2 minutes to get this guy's photo." So he ran in, grabbed just portable light set up his camera, ran out, got three shots of him, and then like the news media just took over, and it's just like, and the photo is insane. Like,
Wow.
maybe when we finish this, I'll tell you the guy's name to search, and it comes
Yeah,
up as the first image of him on Google. It's insane, right?
it's
Such a
crazy.
good photo. But like, I love that about this image, that it's that kind of like, I had a very quick time to like do a thing and get myself ready,
Yeah,
and also it's not a well practiced skill at that time, and it's that feeling where you like you look at that photo and you're like, I remember that like small level of adversity I had to come over to like get myself ready, and it was a new skill I was like testing,
yep,
and
that's
it's that
it.
first time you look at it and you're like, yes. And
Yeah,
also, I kind of like the barriers in the background as a like as a part of it. Like,
yeah. I
I
think it's
think,
it's very London.
yeah, I think if it had just been like the walls of what I'm guessing is the Royal Exchange, because if not, then like all the brickworks there is very similar, isn't it?
I think
Um,
that's more Bank of England, but yeah,
yeah,
that
it's all that
side.
kind of like
Yeah,
coloured brick and everything in
yeah,
that area. Yeah, if it had just been that and like a couple of people, I think it would have been. I don't know, because it's quite a beige color and it's a white bike. I think it could have been lost. But
yeah,
where you put it, that green and red dashed barrier, it just makes the bike stand out so much more. And with
yeah,
his like pop of red on the back of the bike and on the helmet, like I think it really goes nicely. I think if it was just beige concrete behind, it just I
yeah.
don't think the bike would stand out as much. So I actually
No,
really
and I
like
think
the background.
for me, it's very it gives me that similar feel to, in Tokyo, and at night you've got the lights in the background, the neon in the background, which you can see in a lot of photos from that area, or that style of photography. You get, neon lights in the background, or there's some kind of color in the background, and it looks crazy good because you've got that panning shot. And nothing in this photo is faked, by the way. And none of the panning is not
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
done, and it's not I haven't increased the pan in edit or anything like that, which you can do with photos. None of
Yeah.
that's been this is only the coloring has been edited, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, I've only just colored it a bit, color corrected it and done a few of those kind of edits and fixed the highlights and shadows. That's it.
Yeah.
Everything else is done. And I think what makes it stand out for me as well is, it was the first time I tried to do something like that, and it was also, with these kind of shots, you don't get a second chance.
No, you don't. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That was what like shocked me myself, is like, I managed to get it in that one opportunity of this guy driving past that I had. And I actually tried it with cars and bikes for the rest of the day. I think I managed to get
Mhm.
very similar one of another lady on a like pedal bike, but it wasn't as good as this, and it was a little bit more boring. So the fact that I managed to get this shot in the first
Yeah.
chance that I got, and it was the first time me trying it, that's what basically makes it really stand out for me.
Yeah. 100%. You're like,
Yeah,
don't
the
want the camera
camera. Yeah,
moving
that's
again.
it. It started.
To be fair, I need to improve my panning shots, and I think soon I might just film a video where I go out and just shoot panning shots and show everyone every single one of them, even if they're terrible, because I I cannot. Um, we're going to move on to the third image now. Listen, okay. I'm going to explain some back history because I think even if I didn't, people would know there was history here. I you put this next image. I'm not going to show it yet, but you put this next image in just to piss me off. Okay, I opened up the email today and I looked through, and I thought he wouldn't, and then I was like, no, of course he would. He did. So this image again, not going to show it yet. This image, I'm going to give the backstory of it before I even show it. Right,
That's fine. Let's go for it.
but we have a couple, and we this was I had this my version of this mysterious image in the video of us walking around London taking photos of what turned out to be majority like mainly cars, I think, on that one
Yeah,
day.
it ended up being
I
that
remember bring
we
like
ended up
a CPL
Mayfair.
with me. Yeah. And we're waiting, and this couple with like a cool sense of style and just like photogenic went to kiss in the middle, and I took a photo, and then you took a photo, and I mean, I'll show the photo now, okay? And my photo, was just earlier than I would have wanted to have got it. But the kiss was so quick, right? It was
Yeah.
literally like, it was just like the quickest peck. And we both saw it coming. We both knew it was about to happen. And I remember the cameras was like, say this is mine and this is yours. It was literally like click, click, like literally like
Yeah.
a
It was
millisecond
straight.
later.
Yeah.
And I looked at mine and I was like, oh, I'm pretty happy with that. And then I looked at yours and I was like, well, I hate mine now. Because yours is like right at that point where it's almost the better part. Like if they'd been kissing, that's a great shot. But
I
like
do have
that,
that shot as well, actually.
yeah, if you, I
Yeah.
mean, let's not
But
even
that's not the
talk
one that
about
I
that.
like the best. Yeah.
Let's not rub salt into my open wounds. But like mine is just before this, so like what I'm happy about is you still know what's about to happen. Like it's still a
Yeah.
beautiful shot
That's
of
it.
them, and like we've still got the nice blur of the taxi in the background, and like everything like that's cool. But I was just like, I'm going for the moment just before the kiss. Like, and even for me, like I would have liked a little bit closer, but not a kiss yet. Do you know what I mean? Like that would have
Yeah.
been like a great shot for me. And to like know that I missed it by like just if I just had like if I'd literally just put on like the spray and pray mode and just clicked through 3 images, it'd been fine. But like, I mean, you can attest to how quickly this came
It was
round.
instant. It was almost instant. Like,
We were just standing at the traffic lights talking to each other.
yeah.
Cars went past, and then I looked up, looked at you. You were looking at the same thing, and both of our cameras just came up to what seemed like the surprise of everyone waiting to cross the road with us.
Yeah.
Like, and we just like bam, 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 and then we just like pretended nothing happened, and we crossed the road, and then we awkwardly followed them down the road because they
Yeah,
were going the same way as us.
it
So
was
like,
almost a stalker moment,
it
but they
was,
were
yeah.
just going the same way. So
This will maybe be the only time. I mean, I can't imagine there'll be another time when I'll explain the photo that the guest brings. Like
yeah, this
that's
is
never
the
gonna
only
happen
time that's ever
again.
gonna happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great image. I have 3 notes on it. One, it's a good image. Two, damn you. And and three, thank you for not including the full kissing photo, or that damn you would have been escalated to something a little bit ruder. We are past the watershed. It's half past midnight now while we're
Yeah,
filming
it is.
this.
It is.
I love it. I was speaking to a guy who's gonna be a guest in the future. Shout out to Eric. He's gonna be in a future
Yeah,
future pod. And I told him what time we were starting this. He was like, "That is late." I was like, "Yes, it
it's like,
is." But you
and the
gotta
funny
do what you
part
gotta
is, I'm probably going to be awake for a couple more hours after this, finishing a couple of edits out for social media posts that I've got coming up in the week. So yeah, the
do.
night is early for me.
Yeah,
It's still early for me.
I know for a fact that I'll finish this, and like a couple of people I've worked with or like I'm friends with know this about me, and like they don't understand how I can do it. But like, I think you'll probably be similar to me. When this is done, it will render everything, and I will want to get the footage, get it into a project, look at like getting some of the basic stuff set up with like the background and getting
Yep,
everything to where
that's
it
it.
want to sit in the video. And then I'm like, okay, cool. I can, as everything's in the project, and I can edit it tomorrow. But at least I'm that far in,
Yeah,
and like I can't come back from. I came back from Portugal, got in at 10:30 at night, and obviously I've been traveling, either being at the airport and stuff like that for like maybe 6-7 hours. A normal human comes in and they're like, bedtime.
yeah.
It's like 11 o'clock at night. I came in and I was like, SD card time. I was just like,
It
all of the photos
has to.
were on Lightroom, but like I was like, all the videos, I'm getting them on my computer now, and I'm also
Yeah,
backing them up to my external drive
yeah.
straight away.
You have to.
You just
You
got
have
to
to
do it.
because you can't. I can't leave. I'm like that as well. If I get back from a shoot, no matter how tired I am, I'll at least the least I will do, the absolute minimum I will do, is get the card into the PC.
Yeah,
At
yeah,
least,
yeah,
like, even if I'm
yeah,
not transferring anything, or I'm not, but I will at least take the card out and get it into the PC, so I'm not mistakenly using that card or formatting it, or adding to it or whatever, so that I know that
Hmm.
content in that card is from that shoot. And then maybe the following morning, if I'm really tired, like, I'd have to be extremely knackered to have to do this. Is that the following morning I end up doing it? But
Yeah.
majority of the time it is, yeah, I get it in, I get that stuff transferred, photos go into Lightroom straight away so it can sync through to my other devices.
Yeah.
Videos, I start organizing by which camera I've shot them on or whatnot, and then I've just got them all ready in a project so that at some point I can start editing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and then I mean, my work ethic is, I've got the 9 to 5, and then it's time for family and kids until the kids are asleep, because I can't work while the kids. I can do maybe
Yeah.
admin stuff on my laptop in the living room, but I can't get any substantial work done whilst they're awake. So
Yeah.
I'll wait for them to get to sleep, and if I'm lucky, they'll be asleep by 9:30. Yeah, it's a bit later than most kids, but my kids sleep through the night because of that. Um, if I'm not lucky, then it's 10:30, 11, whatever that time is. Once they're in bed, I'll grab myself some tea, have a bit of a snack, maybe watch some anime, and then start actually working around
Yeah.
11 to midnight, and then work into the night, as long as it takes to finish at least one or two of the projects that I need to get done, one or two of the
Yeah.
videos for the next day, or put it into drafts or whatever it is I need to do. And usually that means I'm awake until about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and then I'm off for work the next day at 7:30.
That's great. So like there's times when let's call everyone else normies,
Yeah,
will they'll be like, oh, what are you doing when you get home? Like, you're just gonna chill out, play games, like spend time with the other half. I'm just like, no, I'm gonna come home. I have the luxury of not having anything that like pressingly needs my attention at home, like
yeah,
children. Um, and I also am lucky that I have a very understanding partner that doesn't mind me just disappearing into this room for several hours. But like, I'll get home and I'll be like, hey, how's your day been? We'll go for like a 20-minute walk just to like shake the day off. And then I'm like, I'll see you when dinner's ready. And then I just come up here and like, Sarah's just like, Sarah cooks in the week and I cook on the weekend because she does it so that I can just lock myself away and then try and have more time at a weekend rather than be like,
yeah,
I'll cook and I've lost 5, 6 hours in the week where I've cooked dinners that I now have to make up in the weekends. And so like I'm really lucky. And then like people will be like, oh, that's mad. So you like come home, you have like an hour to yourself, and then you lock yourself away for like 4 or 5 hours. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like eating and editing at the same time. Or like if I really feel luxurious, I'll give myself a 10-minute break to watch something on YouTube while I eat. But like,
yeah,
and then those people like don't understand that mindset. And then like we've obviously spoken about it before, and like how like you work later and stuff. And then every now and then, when I'm just like, oh, I'm so tired, I think to myself about yourself and another friend of mine that like has a very similar schedule. And I'm just like, I have nothing to complain about. No one needs me right now. I can just sit here and do what I want to do, and no one is like crying in another room because someone stole a toy. Like
yeah,
my life is much easier. I'm
yeah.
not going to whinge.
I mean, bless my kids. I love them to bits, and I think one of the reasons I'm doing what I do is for them. I mean, my goal as a content creator, which probably I haven't spoken about in this podcast, is I want to go into full-time content creation. Like, I love my job. I work in clinical trials. It's a very rewarding job. I get to affect people's lives in a very positive way through what I do and through the projects that I work on. And I mean, I've been doing that for well over 10 years now. I've been working in this field, and I've climbed my way up. I'm in a very good position. I've got a good job. I've got a stable job. But I think my mind now is in a place where I'm like, I love creating content and I want to get better at creating content. And I see other creators who are doing great. And I know the struggles that they've gone through to get there. And
Yeah,
I'm going through my version of those struggles now. But my end, not my end goal, my immediate goal right now is to get to a position where I can make a living from content. So of course, as part of my content creation, I'm working with brands, which we touched on
Hmm.
very, very briefly. So I'm working with brands to create content for them. So for example, one of the recent posts that I put up was for the Ivanki doc that I spoke about earlier. So the post that I'm
Yeah.
about to put up for that is a paid promotion. I've done some for some of the phone case, like the Taurus phone case. I've
Hmm.
done a couple of videos for them, paid promotion. So I'm getting paid. I worked with Dell last year, which is
Oh, nice.
amazing. Yes, I worked with Dell on a bunch of their campaigns. So they sent me a couple of laptops, including an Alienware R6 M16R2, which is a very powerful gaming laptop at the time. Uh,
Hmm.
I mean, and that was amazing because that was an experience to be able to
Yeah,
work
yeah,
with a
yeah,
brand like Dell,
yeah,
being a micro creator, if nano
yeah.
creator, even if that at the time, I had even less of a following than I do now. But they recognized my content creation skill. They wanted to work with me. They paid me to do those campaigns, and it was great. So getting a taste of that as well, working with brands, earning a living from my content, whether that's working with brands or businesses or through commercial work, that's kind of my current immediate goal, which is why I'm working so hard
Yeah,
on that 5 to 9 is what people call it. It was
yeah,
really,
yeah,
really midnight till 5, really. But um, it's why I'm working that hard. It's for my kids.
hmm. No, that makes full sense. I mean, like, I'll before I start to kind of like wrap up, because otherwise you'll be up till like 9 a.m. touching up on the other projects. Um, I'll so like touching on that, like, it's kind of how I am now. When I started photography and my channel was just like just me documenting being a person who bought a camera and didn't really know what he was doing, to being me now who has more cameras and still doesn't really know what he's doing. And
Yeah,
I was like, it's just a fun thing that I can do. And throughout, like maybe the first year or so, I wasn't really putting a lot of effort into the editing and stuff because I didn't really love it. But then I've fallen in love with, like, as in like the video editing, not the
yeah,
photography
yeah,
editing.
yeah,
I've kind of like fallen in love with that now, and it's got to this point where, like, recently doing content creation, but like not only just YouTube for me, but like I've been doing some editing, like video editing gigs for other people. Like I put together a wedding highlight reel for someone the other day because they sent me all the stuff and they were like, I can pay you, what's your hourly rate? I don't have time to do it myself. So I put that together, and like I've shot with a couple of brands and done a few things. And I'm just like, it's gone from like, I didn't create YouTube for it to be a job. I created it because like I just loved creating the videos. Like, it was fun, and it was just like I had people be like, "Oh, I didn't know that. That like taught me a thing," or like, "Hey, this is how I'd do it," and it then taught me something. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, there's even the idea of me being able to like work a part-time job and everything else be like this is just like mind blowing. And like I said to my other half, like, even if I had the opportunity to go completely just doing this, I wouldn't take it until I knew that I could like help have her out too, because we want to travel as much as we physically can. And it would make more sense that we both had part time jobs and traveled in the time that we had off together than it would be that she worked a full time job and I was just here all day and couldn't really travel and enjoy it as much because I didn't have her with me.
yeah,
So it's just like it's so weird that like so like now you're working to do that for your kids and I'm kind of working it for like me and her. So like I
yeah,
completely get where you're coming from. But yeah, it's just so weird to think that like when I started this, I was just like, I'm gonna show people on the internet that I'm crap at photography and hopefully they'll make me better. And now I still do that, but more people watch, and other people are like, "Hey, can you shoot this for me?" or like, "Can you
yeah.
edit this for me?" And
It
it's become
is.
this thing that's like maybe worth it.
it is amazing how it starts, isn't it? Because for me, it was not too dissimilar. I think I just started because well, I've been into YouTube and creating content for a long time. Since I was like 14, 15, I used to do
Mhm.
anime music video edits and things like that and just throw them on YouTube. I was into Yu-Gi-Oh card videos for a little while and deck builds and things. I used to throw those on YouTube. So I've always been in the YouTube space somehow or another, but
Yeah.
not really to the extent that I am now. But when I started streaming, I started seeing those other creators. I did streaming for a bit. It wasn't a lot. It wasn't substantial enough, but um, I started doing more YouTube and then more Instagram, and then because of that, my YouTube built up. I'm partnered on YouTube now, and I just started making videos because I loved talking about the tech that I was using, and
Yeah.
I was getting sent stuff, or I was talking about things that I'd bought or how to do this in streaming, teaching other people how what I've learned, and just started kind of like sharing what I know or sharing what I've learned about that or about content,
Yeah.
about creation, about taking a photo, about taking how to film this, how to use this camera as a webcam, how to do this with a camera or whatnot. And it's just kind of stemmed from there to, like you said, making videos for other people as well, or
Yeah.
sharing my skills working for brands. Or it was never about the money to begin with, but the fact that there is so much potential in
Hmm.
this field, and it's something that 10 years ago would have been very frowned upon, like, oh, he's making
Yeah.
videos on the internet for money, oh, what a waste. It's not now, because now every other person is like, oh, they've got some sort of side gig going on where they're doing
Yeah. Yeah.
something on
Yeah.
Instagram, or they know somebody who's doing something on Instagram, and it's a very normal thing and it's very widely accepted as well.
Hmm.
But there's still, regardless of that, so much potential, because you know the number of brands isn't going down, the number of businesses isn't going down. If anything, they're growing. And with the
Yep.
growing economies around the world, there's a growing need to market your business or market your brand, and that's where kind of we come in as content creators, regardless of what field you're in, whether you're in photography or fashion or beauty and makeup or kids. People
Yeah.
do stuff about their kids. People do stuff about their pets. There's so many different niches. Gardening. I don't know
Yeah.
whatever it is you want to do or talk about. There is a potential to make money from your content, and
Yeah.
if there is a potential to make money from your content, there is nothing wrong with doing that.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to go too much more into it because that will take up way more time. But yeah, I completely agree that it's amazing how it can go from one thing to another, and then your kind of priorities and goals completely shift, focusing on
Yeah.
that because you're looking towards now what you really want to do with your life in the future. And I think
Yeah.
we're very similar in that aspect where it's about that freedom of time that we want to have. Like, I want to be able to tell my wife, like, you can work if you want. Right now we live in London and it's heavy going, and you've got to have a two-person salary to kind of
Yeah.
survive just
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
It needs to get to a point where I can just be like, don't worry about it. It's like, I got you covered, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then we can just kind of do what we want to do. I don't have to be restricted by time if I
Hmm.
want to spend some time or with my family or whatever it is, and feel bad about it because I'm taking time off
Yeah.
work or have to ration my free time, basically. But yeah, that's my kind of thoughts on
It's so
that.
easy. It's so easy to like get lost in this
It
conversation when
is.
like
It
we're
is.
both so passionate about it.
It's
Okay,
very, very easy.
I'm going to give you some this or that questions, and I'm going to give you and then a final question, and the final question, and because it's you, I'm going to limit you to like a couple of sentences,
That's
right?
fine.
Because
That's fine. I
otherwise,
won't talk too much. It's fine.
this will be a 7-hour podcast if this last question gets asked and I don't limit you. Okay,
Okay. Okay. That's
so
fine.
we'll go for the this or that questions first of
That's
all.
fine.
Okay, would you prefer if you had to just have one of these for the rest of your life, primes or zoom lenses?
Ooh. I will go with primes. The fact that I only own one zoom lens right now and everything else I'm working with is primes, I can deal with primes.
Okay, black and white or color,
Color.
sunrise or golden hour?
Golden hour.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not getting up early. Although, to be fair, the amount of times you work till basically
I could
sunrise, you'd
probably do
rather
the
just do that,
sunrise as
yeah.
well, but yeah, golden hour.
And then this is the one I'm limiting you on.
Okay.
Okay. Dream camera. That's why I'm limiting you, because
Oh.
otherwise we'll be here forever. If you're watching this, okay, and this podcast is somehow 3 hours long, just know that Tanjil has not limited himself.
um, I think. I mean, all right. To help me with this, so that I don't go on and on and on and on and on. Dream camera
Mhm.
for photography or videography, or do I get to choose?
It's completely up to you. Just what
Completely
if
up to you.
you could right now afford to buy any camera? What would that camera be? Or, as Chris was saying before, the camera that would be his dream camera doesn't exist. So he was like, "I'd like this body, but with this capability." So
Yeah. I mean,
I'll accept either from you.
I mean, as a primary Sony user, at one point I maybe would have said the FX3, but to be very honest with you, I think right now I have what would be as close to my dream camera in my kind of affordable price range
Yeah,
as possible, which is the Nikon ZR. And it is
yeah,
by no means perfect. It's not a perfect camera. It doesn't have everything that you would want from it. But in terms of the image quality that it produces and what I want it to be able to do, it pretty much does that. Maybe if I had the actual autofocus of like a Sony FX3 or a ZVE1, and a couple of more things, it would be the perfect. It would be the perfect camera.
yeah,
Maybe Nikon and Red will bring out a smaller body camera like this, which does have 16-bit Red capabilities. I don't know what they're coming out with in the future, but I think this is as close as it gets right now.
cool.
And it was probably one of the reasons why I did pick this up on release, because when I saw it, I was like, "This is damn near perfect." Because I I'll be very quick. I'll be very quick. I shot
Okay,
with a Red Komodo X, and that's what
cool.
gave me that taste of working with the Red workflow and the kind of quality that comes out with the Red Komodo X.
Yeah,
Which is it's a professional grade cinema camera, and to rig that thing out is like 10,000-20,000 pounds. And I
yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I really want something like that. And then Nikon all of a sudden dropped this guy, and I was just like, that's it. This is what I want. That is what I want, and I've got it. So yeah,
I did think that there was a chance that you were going to give that answer.
yeah,
When I've like heard you talk about it before and hearing you talk about it today, I was like, there's a chance that he's just
yeah,
going to be like, I
yeah.
already have it actually.
It's not perfect. It's not the greatest camera in the world. It has its limitations. It has its downsides. It has its flaws. But for me, for what I need and what I've wanted, that's it's delivering on that
Yeah, yeah,
right
yeah,
now. So I'm not looking for anything new that can outperform this at the moment. If anything, I might pick up a ZVE1 again at some point in the future just to supplement it, just because I really
yeah.
miss the ZVE1. But I think the ZR is right now fits that category of the camera that I want to have.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, and just to close off, just tell people where they can find you. Instagram, a website,
I
YouTube, whatever you want. There'll be descriptions, links in the description anyway. But let's double down on that, and you tell them where you
Perfect.
are.
So my you can find me on YouTube as K24 Tech. Same on Instagram, same on TikTok, depending on whichever platform you want to find me on. On YouTube, however, you do get the full flavor of me, which includes the full frame, full frame. Too much camera knowledge in my head, too much camera talk in my head. The full form or long form videos where I do go into detail reviews about gear, tech, tutorials, and things like that, as well
Yeah,
as the short form videos that I do, which are reposted there as well as on Instagram and TikTok. It's the same videos across the board, so you're going to get the same from me no matter where you find me. But on YouTube, you are getting the maximum from me, where I do go deep into long form reviews of all sorts of tech related to content creation, including laptops and cameras and gear and whatnot.
perfect, perfect.
Yeah,
Well,
there you go.
thank you very much for being on the
My pleasure.
podcast. When I
I
asked
think
you, I was like, if he says no, I am going to be sad. um, so yeah, thank you for getting involved,
I
man.
wouldn't have missed the chance. I'd be happy to come back if ever.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Round
Um,
two.
round two.
Maybe
Well,
after we've
round
done our
two,
next photo walk and we have another
internet
competitive
beef.
photo to talk about, and then yes, more beef to talk about.
More
Yeah,
beef.
absolutely.
Yeah, man, I'm down. I'm down. Well, yeah, as I say, thank you very much. You've been a great guest, which is fantastic because I had such a great first guest, and I was like, what if I don't have a good second guest? And then I was like, nah, he'll be a great second guest. Let's get him in second, and you've done it. And
Perfect.
I loved it. I
Thank you.
loved every second of it. It's been a great
Me too,
conversation.
man.
I'm sure everyone that watches will also agree with me. So to you, thank you very much for being a fantastic guest. And to you watching at home, thank you for watching / listening all the way through. Check out K24 Tech. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one.